Orange County LULAC, which is the League of United Latin American Citizens. Our C-SPAN viewers have had an opportunity over the past couple of months with the debate on the House floor to hear a lot of talk about the Hispanic community in the United States. Are there any commonly held perceptions about the American Hispanic community that are clearly wrong, that make you angry?
There's quite a bit. First of all, I would like to clarify that I am the president of Santa Ana LULAC instead of the whole Orange County area. But here, as far as Hispanic perceptions are concerned, I feel that there are a lot of issues that could very well be well represented and a lot of support gained if there was more unity between more Hispanics. What we have is a lot of severe issues, but a lot of division. And instead of having more people helping one another, we have, disunity.
What are some of those issues? Pick out one or two for us.
Well, locally, is it okay if I go locally? Locally, we have had quite a few problems here in Santa Ana. One deals with the eviction of many tenants from their homes, apartments rather. And when we are trying to find out the real cause or a better way of providing them a means of being able to resettle or move or not have to be evicted, we've come into quite a bit of controversy and a lot of conflict.
What are some of the issues that you see as important for the Hispanic community in the Orange County area, specifically Santa Ana?
Well, specifically Santa Ana, since I've been involved in neighborhood organizing now for 8 to 10 years. Primarily, our biggest issues, and it also spills over to what Clara was saying as far as the evictions, the so-called code enforcement is going on in the city of Santa Ana. But in one way or another, in the last, 10 years, we've run into different things. For instance, one of our biggest evils that I see is what we call redevelopment in Santa Ana. Redevelopment, the way the city has been using the particular tool is to actually mass evictions of people. Like I can remember one particular project that we call Civic Center Barrio. There was approximately 1,500 persons that were kicked out of their homes with no adequate replacement housing. These persons fortunately stuck together and fought back. In a sense, they won a partial victory through a $1.2 million settlement. Primarily, the deal that was made was with the developer. Of course, the city had a hand in the first place kicking the people out or selling their property through redevelopment. And since then, those folks have gotten together and are now putting up 20 units of self-built units, or sweat equity, what we call. That's one of them. What's taken place in the past, and maybe the reason why we had to organize ourselves, was there was virtually no representation of Hispanics or minorities in Santa Ana. The known affluent Hispanics actually forgot where they came from, and they abandoned the neighborhoods. If it hadn't been for a group of clergy and businessmen that saw that need, and they were able to raise money to bring in professional organizers to go into the neighborhoods, the community, so they could actually get up from the bootstraps and fight back. I don't know how many more Hispanics would be out of the city of Santa Ana right now.
Senator Romero, you are by profession a cabinet maker, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You you're not a paid lobbyist or activist in the community. You do all this in a...
No, I'm a volunteer adjutist.
How long have you been active in community politics?
About 8 or 9 years.
Would you say that the community of Santa Ana, you work for the city of Santa Ana, is responsive to the needs of the Hispanic community?
What do you mean, the community of Santa Ana, the government of the city of Santa Ana?
Yes.
Do you want my true answer?
Yes, Jose, please.
No.
You are, in fact, the Hispanic Affairs Department of the police force. Doesn't that stand as a proof of the fact that they're involved and interested?
Well, with the exception of the police department, I think we are doing more than anybody else in order to realize that the ethnic composition of the city of Santa Ana is changing and we are going accordingly. I feel that it's just a matter of time before Santa Ana has a Hispanic chief of police, and most everybody in the police department is going to be Hispanic, and it's just a matter of time. But we're getting ready for that as far as the police department is concerned. Many times I wonder if the rest of the city of Santa Ana is looking forward to this time when the great majority of the people in Santa Ana are going to be Hispanics.
How many Hispanic voters are there registered in Santa Ana, and how much do they participate? I'll throw this out to whoever knows the statistics.
I don't know the percentage. The voter turnout is terrible. In the last, especially this particular election, we're really trying hard to get them out there. In fact, we're using a slogan now in Spanish. If you don't vote, they'll boot you. In Spanish, votar. Te votan, which means they're going to boot you out of here. Either vote or they're going to boot you out. We're trying to get a little publicity going there. Hopefully the people come up and vote.
Has a Hispanic American never run for the city council in Santa Ana?
Yes, they have.
Successfully?
Yes, we had, the last one was Councilman El Cerrado, and unfortunately, he was not reelected. We've had another Hispanic, Dave Ortiz, which didn't care to run again. Then we had Mr. Ray Villa, which was also in the Santa Ana LULAC. And presently, we have John Acosta in the council, but that's, you figure at roughly a little better than 50% Hispanic in the city of Santa Ana and 76% in the schools. Yet we only have one out of the 7 councilmen.
Why this community? Why are so many Hispanic people drawn to Santa Ana proper? It's got one of the higher rates in the whole Southern California area, I understand, for Hispanic Americans or Hispanic population. Why? Here.
Well, I feel that to be truthful about this, the word that we get is that when a lot of people come, let's say people that work for the government, let's say, a lot of the percentages are illegal aliens that live in Santa Ana. They come to Santa Ana and stay here. That is a high percentage of the people in Santa Ana. Now, as far as the population, I think we have probably somewhere like 250,000 people, or maybe a little bit more, that counted for. But I'd say that other than that, the other people that are living here, that are Hispanic, have either been in the area since they were, very young, or probably their jobs have attracted them to this area.
The existing community of Hispanics draws other people. They know they can find similar cultures and attitudes.
Right.
Well, Jose Vargas, you can tell us from personal experience, why did you end up in Santa Ana?
Well, this is a nice place to live and work. There is a lot of Hispanics living in Santa Ana, and that's why I live in Santa Ana myself. I love it.
You've got an amazing personal history. You tried for many times to come to the United States unsuccessfully, 12 times
Yes.
to come illegally into the country and finally made it. Can you tell us why you had to make so many efforts? People that don't live in this part of the country and aren't familiar with some of the problems.
Well, it was very simple. I was trying to survive. I was looking for survival for myself and for my family, and there was no other alternative. One time or another, I was told, if you come back to the United States one more time, we're going to put you behind bars for a long time. I said, well, it's just as long as I'm behind bars, I'll have an excuse in order for not keep on trying, in order to bring my family to the United States here. So I came back again. Eventually, I married an American citizen. I don't know whether it was worth it, but I'm still here.
How many years did the whole process take you?
Oh, in order to, since I started coming to the United States when I was 16, and by the time I was probably 21, I obtained a green card.
What do you feel, and I'd like to get all of your reactions to this, we were talking a little earlier about Simpson Mazzoli. Some of the leaders in Washington were saying any immigration policy is good, just the fact that we're establishing it, because it's been such a long time since we've worked on it. Are you satisfied with the Simpson Mazzoli as it's come out of Congress? Maybe we'll start with you, Sam.
Well, I'll look at it in the way a Hispanic-born American would look at it, a citizen. is that, as far as I'm concerned, the provision of the sanctions against employers is a terrible tool due to the fact that I am considered an equal American. Yet, if I go looking for a job and I go side by side by, say, for instance, an Anglo, I'm sure he's not going to question his legality in this country. And here I am coming in, feeling that I'm a free American, to be asked. I think it's terrible. Uh, I don't think it would be fair. I also believe that as far as uh, to be able to give these persons that are here illegally the right to stay here is great. I love it. I wish it happened right now. A lot of the people are being ripped off by employers. They're afraid. If they say they make a business deal, a lot of them are ripped off. They don't know where to go to complain. They're afraid. And just to make crime thrive, which makes the Santa Police Department even a harder job to successfully carry on. Also, I don't believe that fine, you can stay here, but you won't be able to draw any of the services. I believe it's welfare, whatever. If the need arises, you can't do that for X number of months or years or whatever. I don't think it's bad. If that was to take place, I think those persons should get no taxes taken off of them. I mean, you're paying for something that service you can't get. It's just a whole bunch of parts of that I don't really care for.
Any other specific part of the bill that you've responded to?
Well, one part I don't like is the part having to do with everyone having to carry individual ID. One of my personal experiences with that, I've worked downtown Santa Ana, and about 2 years ago, I went out to lunch, and I had a girlfriend with me, and needless to say, immigration was down on close to Broadway Street, and I got stopped, and of course, it was like, I guess maybe a formal type of procedure, and yet it was a dirty gut feeling because they were stopping the people that were walking ahead of me, and I really didn't take any concern to it because I just didn't think that anything of it until I got stopped and asked questions. Needless to say, it's just now that the bill has been before us, and this last 6 months that there was so much lobbying going on, I related back to that one incident, and I wouldn't like to have to carry an ID for that one particular purpose.
Let's pause at this point because we've talked about the occupations of the two other gentlemen. You are a civil servant.
Yes.
And work in Santa Ana itself proper. Is there a great civil service community here? Is there a lot of federal government jobs in the area?
Well, the federal building in Santa Ana has quite a few. All the different federal agencies are located there. I don't know what the number of employees is, but there's. I would say that it has quite a number because then, let's say the federal is there, then the county. Now, I would say that the greater percentage of the employees are county employees.
Jose Vargas, the people who live in this community, Hispanic people who live in this community, if they have problems, is the best resource to solve them the city level, the state level, or the federal government level? Who can help?
Probably the city level, that's where most of the problems could be answered, most of the questions could be answered. But I feel right now that this type of services could be improved here in the city of Santa Ana.
How does it happen? What's the first step?
Well, I really don't know. First, somebody is going to have to realize that we have many Hispanics here in the city of Santa Ana. And that many times, not only Santana, but throughout the cities in Orange County, I have this feeling that many of the city officials are thinking, well, we're just going to close our eyes and someday we're going to open them up and the Border Patrol will be here and many of these people are going to be gone and that's going to stop some of these problems. Well, this is not going to happen. I don't think this is going to happen. In the latest issue of National Geographic magazine, they called the fact that there are so many Hispanics coming to the southwestern United States. The magazine calls this item water seeking its own level, and I really believe in it. The amount of Hispanics is going to continue every day as it goes by, and we have to open up and realize, they're not going anywhere. There is going to be more and more coming in.
Well, let me tell all the people around the country that hear you say that and say, we've got to stop, we've got to close our borders. How do you react to them?
And that would be, I don't think United States is ready in order to send tanks and the Marines and dogs to the border in order to close them up altogether. I don't think we're ready to do that. And when you were speaking about the Simpson-Macaulay bill, is this going to keep some of the people out? I don't think so. See, let me tell you one particular group of people out of the many groups of Hispanics that we have here in Santana. We have many Central Americans, probably 7,000 undocumented Central Americans here in Santana. Most of them are not working. And they still, they're not going anyplace. There is this feeling of unity among this group of people, and we have, I've been through there. Unity. And we have this feeling of duty that we have to help each other. So if someday, even if they dry up the job market, not just around the undocumented, they're still going to be here because at least there is food here. I worry about the fact that when the people try to deny these people Social Security so they can find jobs, so when they don't have an opportunity to find a good job, what do? They walk the streets, and time comes when you are hungry and you are going to have to decide whether you are going to be a law-abiding and hungry man, or you're going to put some food in your stomach even if you break the law.
Do the other members of the police force understand that? What's the attitude?
Many of them do. Many of them do. I would say that not all of the members of the police department understand it, and I don't expect it. All the city employees of Saniana understand it. It's just the fact, the people like us, we work with the grassroots community. We know what's happening. We know what the prospects are going to be for the future. We are concerned, but many people do not have this opportunity in order to work with this kind of people.
Sam, are you angry at the city government here?
Well, I'd like to hit it. Yes, I am, and I think I was kind of leading up when Jose was this last few statements. Is that what I see within our city? If you go back when I was a boy here, and I'm a native Santa Ana. When I was a boy, it was approximately 5% Hispanic. This is just guessing, remembering the little barrios, the whole thing. Well, now we're past the 50%, and I would say for the last 30, 40 years, the city has been controlled mainly by a certain group of people. It's a clique. And as I see it, is that what's happening is that since we've gotten out to the level, again, that the majority are now the minorities, it's just a matter of time before those minorities will start using their heads, and they're going to really going into elections, run people themselves vote. So I look at it that clique, saying, my God, we're going to be out of power here very shortly. We must do something. What can we do? We'll use redevelopment. We'll get rid of 1,500 people out, and we won't provide housing. Therefore, now you have eliminated 1,500 potential persons that would be voting against you. So you're now 1,500 persons in the good to stay in power. Okay, that goes by. All of a sudden, you come up with a code enforcement policy. We're going to go in there. In the first phase, it's going to affect 10,000 persons. And I bet you 10,000 will be Hispanics. That's only the first phase. They're talking about 30,000 eventually. So that's another tool that's going to be used. Remember, there's no housing being provided or being built to house these poor people. They don't have the first month, second month, and whatever other charge they want to put on there. So their hope is that they'll go to another city. Well, the other cities don't have low-cost housing. What's going to happen there is the same thing's happening in Santa Ana. Since we're very family, come here, brother, you can stay with me, or uncle or aunt or my friend. You can stay here until you find a house. Now you're talking about 1, 2 to 3 families sharing a home. Here comes a code enforcement officer again. So to me, that's another tool that's been used by city government to dilute
I'll interrupt you at that point because we've had a chance to talk to people in city government today who are pointing to the redevelopment with great pride, saying it's bringing in lots of jobs for people, that the city has changed so dramatically in the period of 10 years, all for the better.
Well, the city of Santa Ana has something that it calls, they want to change the image of Santa Ana. The image of Santa Ana, you can look at it many different ways. I look at it as that no longer you have brown faces, now you have white faces. Now that's the image of Santa Ana. I don't see any positive thing that's come out of redevelopment that has helped the people.
Would you agree with that, Claire?
Yes, we've been involved in basically the same issues. I am originally from San Antonio, Texas, and as a small girl, I used to hear my mom. She was very involved in community work and very involved with helping candidates whenever city election was coming up. One of the things that I see happening here in Santa Ana is that the form of government as far as city officials is a very controlled measure. In San Antonio, when I was a kid, there was the same thing. There was what was called the Good Government League, and every now and then the city would get very upset with the different issues that were going on, and they'd say, "Well, let's run several candidates, Hispanic candidates that we can try and get in there," and they were always defeated, and the same group of councilmen always won. Since then. So this basically reminds me of the Santa Ana government in the early days, and since then San Antonio has changed a lot. They've gone into a voting by ward, which has helped tremendously.
Now has a Hispanic mayor, Henry Cisneros.
Yes. Plus, they also have several other Hispanic councilmen. The city has progressed, but in a very positive way. Also, here in Santa Ana, about a year ago, there was a measure that we were trying to get passed, and it was dealing with changing over to voting by ward. Nonetheless, there was a very low voting turnout, something like 2 or 4%. We could say we could have blamed it on the weather, which was a really bad day, but nonetheless, it goes back to what Sammy says. The voting normally here in Santa Ana is really bad.
This state, however, does have bilingual education. It also requires that the city or government seek out children, whether or not they are legal aliens, and educate them. Perhaps they might look at that and say, we're making great strides. We're taking care of young people.
Well, that's the school board is separate from the city government. Although I think at times, not so much in the new.
The directives come from Sacramento, don't they, rather than from the school board here?
Yes, but it depends on how it's implemented in the local level. At times in the past, I felt that the two groups who work in a master plan to eliminate the undesirables. Lately, this new school board appears to be not as bad as the past ones. I don't know, might be what we call a good thing. We have it's too early yet to really pin it down.
What's the ideal community? And what was the way that you would like Santa Ana, not just government-wise, to turn out 10 years down the road? Well, you can answer because Jose, you're in the police department. You want a good economic climate. You want an area that's a very strong Hispanic community, or should it be a mix of different races and nationalities? What's the ideal?
Eventually, there is going to have to be in Santana a mix of nationalities and cultures all living along, side by side, and having a smooth and a cordial relationship. More than anything else, besides being a police officer here, I'm also a resident of the city of Santana. My kids go to school here, so I want the best for the city of Santana, and I think it can be done. When I hear Sam talking about all this overcrowding here in Santana, I would like to ask a question. How come we haven't started a big drive in order to educate the people that come to Santana? Look, there is only so many people that they can live in one apartment unit. Where these people are coming from, these laws about overcrowding, they are unknown. And you can talk to some persons, 20 people living in an apartment, and you can tell them, you are doing something wrong. And they look at you and they tell, I didn't know. Or you gotta be kidding, we're all relatives, all the extended family here. But this is gonna take some education in order for these people, in order to realize, well, we have come to a place in order so we can go by we have to go by the laws of this particular place. I think it can be done.
So that's the answer, rather than having more of the Anglos perhaps accepting the fact that you can have more people in a small living space than we are customarily affected to. We should have the people understand that laws are different here.
Yes, this is one of the things that I specialize on, trying to teach the foreign-born Hispanics about the American system of justice. I would like to say that I'm doing a heck of a good job of it, but some of these problems, they don't come like overcrowding. It doesn't come about the American system of justice. Somebody else has to carry the ball on this.
I think also there has to be an education, go a little further, and that's educating the public officials. Give an example, which is common throughout the country. It says, say for instance, moderate to low income, I think it's 80% of medium income. Mm-hmm. Okay, you figure in Orange County, which is probably somewhere around $28,000. Now that's 80%. And they say, well, we're good people. We're building low income housing. 80% of the income. And some of these people only make $11,000 a year. I mean, that's a mentality that's used. So that has to change. We might be, if they're really sincere in helping the communities, the neighborhoods, to get away from that overcrowded situation and create some type of housing. See, I'm a firm believer that since housing is short, that whatever house or dwelling, residential dwelling that you are destroying, may it be through this code enforcement or redevelopment, whatever, you destroyed 15 homes over here, you created 15 homes over here. Because the mentality is now we destroy these 15 houses, those folks, hopefully they run out of town. They don't. They go into the garages, compounding the problem. It makes social services harder, it makes the police department harder, it makes neighborhoods completely overcrowded. It's not helping the thing. Worsening.
It all fits into that term that is often used, mi casa, su casa, and it just, like Sam said, they get an eviction notice, and if they don't have a place to go to, well, they'll move in with relatives, and all it does is make the problem worse.
One of the goals of this grassroots work that we are doing as we travel around the country is perhaps to get a sense, as we go towards the national election, the presidential election in the fall, how important certain issues are. Do you have any sense for the issues, the immigration issues and the concerns of the Hispanic community, how important they are to the nation at large as we go towards the presidential election?
How important it is? Well, I
think it's going to affect the way people vote for president, this issue?
Well, my feeling is that once the election is over, and say, for instance, the present administration is in, I've been elected for 4 years now. Now let's push the Simpson and Nozola bill no matter what. That's my feeling. The only reason it was dropped is because somebody wants to get reelected. That's what I feel took place. Now, if the other party wins, for instance, I haven't really given it that much thought. But that's the first thought I had when it was canned for the moment.
Your organization is a national one.
Right.
Do you have any sense for the American community at large, how much of a concern this issue is going to be for them?
Well, I know that it's a deep concern. At our national convention, our organization is probably comprised about 600,000 members nationwide, but the persons that were going to be delegates to, the conventions were asked to abstain on the first ballot. For Simpson-Mazzoli bill was one of the issues that was mentioned. And I do feel that if the issue wouldn't have been dropped by, at the time it was, that there would be more aggravated Hispanic community leaders, and that eventually it would have been dropped because it will hurt the voting structure.
Washington playing politics with the immigration bill?
I don't know.
Does it concern you?
from what I can gather, I deal, you have to remember one thing about the city of Santana here. The Hispanics are majority here in the city of Santana, and the majority of the Hispanics living in the city of Santana are foreign-born Hispanics. So when I deal a lot with these people, and I would say that the Simpson Masoli bill right now is the number one issue among this group of people. So it is a very important issue, yes.
Other than Simpson, Missouri, does Washington seem like a faraway entity? I mean, does Washington play a part in your life normally?
I have had the opportunity to visit Washington D.C. and I know Washington exists there. But I would say that for the majority of the Hispanics in Santana, Washington D.C. is a land that exists someplace in this planet, and really they don't feel that it has very much to do with the city here.
Other than, of course, being a civil servant and working for the federal government, outside of that part of your life, is Washington something that you consider a place that's responsive? I mean, can you contact congressmen and have them respond to your needs?
Yes, on the different issues, yes, and I would say Washington is only a phone call away, because there are times when as President Liu like that, I've gotten a number of calls, and people want help, in being referred to a congressman or calling a congressman for a certain type of issue or help. So that's why I say that.
Sam, you're shaking your head. You find at least members of Congress and the senators responsive?
The one thing I have to say about our local congressman that represents the Santa Ana area is that he's always been responsive ever since he's been in office. In fact, we don't always agree. In fact, he'd be the first one to admit that, because we've even put an action on him when things weren't going the way we wanted them as far as the neighborhood level. But almost any time that we have an issue that we feel it should be brought up before, or at least the federal level should know about it, we can pick up the telephone and call his office, and he'll return the call, and we'll express our situation. So
Patterson,
yes.
I know he is at least 3/4 of Santa. I don't know if
he's very responsive.
You have to remember that the Congressman Patterson is a former mayor of Santana. So when you were talking about local issues, he has very much knowledge, probably more than if we had a congressman, from some other place.
Well, let me ask you a little bit on that, because he's right involved in a very, very difficult race right now. There's another former Congressman, Dornan, who is seeking that seat. If you were going to vote today, do you know who you'd vote for between the two?
Yes, personally, it's my own personal opinion, I would like to say that Jerry Patterson is my friend, and no matter if I'm not a registered Democrat, I would vote for Jerry Patterson at this time.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to add that there's when I was a boy, a lot of the people in the neighborhood were migrant farm workers, and we didn't like it, but that was the only work. Well, it just so happens that I don't like migrant politicians. You move in just to simply from Beverly Hills simply to run. He doesn't know the local issues, doesn't know anything of the background, what happened in Santa Ana. So I'll be extremely uncomfortable to have a person come in that's an outsider, you might say.
Overall, is the Democratic or Republican Party more responsive to the needs of your community?
We find it appears that the Democratic Party is much more.
Okay.
I feel the same way, yes.
When we visited Miami, the Cuban population there is very heavily Republican. So is it a generalization when people look at Hispanic Americans and immediately assume that they're all Democrats? Is there as we travel across the country, are we going to find that in different areas of the country people are of different parties in the Hispanic community?
Well, a lot of it, like my particular interest is that when I was a boy, depression hit in the whole bit, and we couldn't get jobs in Santa because you were the wrong ethnic group. And one thing I'll never forget my father, is of course he's still alive, but he used to say, under the Republican Party, we've had hard times. Under the Democratic Party, we've eaten. We're not talking about Cadillac, we're not talking about huge houses, but there was food on the table. And then I grew up and I got involved in this neighborhood issues, and it appears that the people we deal with and not responsive happen to be Democrats. There's a few Republicans, but primarily have been Democrats that listen.
Let me ask a last question to you all. You easily could, Sam, not be an activist. You could enjoy the life that you've got here. Why? Why are you active? Why are you trying to help others?
Well, I got involved mainly when we first got organized. It was several Catholic priests that were brought in to help people organize. And in the particular neighborhood that I grew up, which my parents still live, the city had great plans. And those plans were to completely demolish the neighborhood and make it an industrial park. And this is land that my parents really sacrificed. And I didn't think it was fair, so I got involved in that. And before I knew it, I really got sucked into the organizing, and I've been an activist ever since.
Claire, I could easily say as a civil servant, you could ask for a transfer to another part of the United States with a smaller Hispanic community, and you never have to worry about someone coming up to you and asking for your identification. Why stay? Why be an activist here?
I really like it. When I first moved here, I had transferred with my job, and I thought I was all geared up to move to Southern California and everything was going to be fine and dandy. Well, I got here and realized that I didn't know anyone. And so one of the very first persons that I met was Jose, and it was having to put a cultural event together. So that was the first thing that I got involved with. And after that, I was involved in San Antonio, and I said, well, this is what I really like. And from that cultural event, we started keeping very close contact, and it was like a sequence type, it was one thing after another. And like now, some of the calls that I've received, even though at times that I hadn't been president of LULAC, had to do with people who were very ill, who didn't know who to turn to because they were undocumented, just the fear. And you experience things and you say, is it really worth having to be woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a call like this? And you say, yes, it is, because it's a meaningful, self-satisfying thing that you get.
Jose Vargas, are you optimistic? Do you think if we check back with you in 5-10 years, there'd be an entire department, Hispanic Affairs Department at the police force, not just you?
All I can say, I hope that eventually, people get the idea that we need more educational programs for Hispanics coming not only from the police departments, from all over the place. Unfortunately, I am the only Hispanic affairs officer in all of Orange County. We're talking about maybe 24 law enforcement agencies. This is a controversial position. I am here in order to, or more or less, to make sure that the police department serves the needs of the Hispanics. This is a position created by the chief. Not very many people agree with the chief. Many of our own officers do not agree with my position. And that I don't have to do it. I think I can go out there and go out and pick up drunks or give out traffic citations or whatever, and I could probably make more money than I'm making right now. But I feel that this is something that has to be done. Eventually, just like I said, the Hispanics are going to be in power here in Santana. And maybe 10 years from now, I would like to say, son of a gun, now when the power went to the Hispanics, I was able, in order to ease up the differences and maintain the peace. And that's why I love this job.
Jose Vargas, thank you very much. Clara Perez, thank you for your time.
I just wanted to mention, we've been talking about educational means of carrying the word to the community, and Jose is presently working on some videos that will be comprised of different community organizations in order to be able to educate the community on some of the issues, let's say, that the police department has. Hopefully, LULAC has talked to other like housing, and perhaps we can also do the same thing to educate more community people on the different things that we've talked about here today. But those are some of the things that are in store for the future.
Claire Perez, who is the president of the Santa Ana LULAC, which is the League of United Latin American Citizens. We've got that right finally at the end. Thank you for your time. And also Sam Romero, by profession, a cabinet maker, who is spokesman for the Santa Ana Neighborhood Association and also very involved in grassroots organizing here. Thank you.
Could I just make a last
Sure,
comment too?
sure.
And what Jose Vargas was saying, that maybe in 10 years we'll have an administration maybe of Hispanics. And just as a closing, the comment is that I truly believe that if that ever took place, I think the Hispanic government or council would be much more responsive to the whole population, not only to Anglos, Hispanics, but to the whole, be much fairer than what we've been faced for the last 50 years.
Thank you for your time.